Hey there, classic rock lovers, and welcome to Classic Reviews, where we review classic rock albums. And today we have an exciting treat for you. So get ready for an epic 2-for-1 CD review that will hopefully leave you craving to listen to this band. CDs we will be reviewing will be, bear with, two greatest hits CDs by the American 80s rock or metal band Quiet Riot. So, Quiet Riot are an 80s rock band that actually date back to the 70s. But they are mainly known from their 1983 Metal Health album, which is said to have helped propel the hair metal movement into the mainstream. The Metal Health lineup is considered the classic Quiet Riot lineup, and members of that Metal Health lineup have kept the Quiet Riot name going for all these years. Carlos Cavazo was the lead guitarist during the band's peak. He replaced Randy Rhoads and was in the band until the early 2000s. Since then, Carlos Cavazo has been in other bands, including a long stint with the band Rat, and Alex Grossi has been Quiet Riot's guitarist for quite a while now. Where is he? Rudy Sarzo was the band's bass player during the band's peak. He has gone on to have a very successful career in his own right. Before Quiet Riot peaked, he was in Ozzy Osbourne's band alongside Randy Rhoads, and after Quiet Riot, he joined Whitesnake, where he played alongside former Ozzy Osbourne bandmate Tommy Aldridge. It's worth mentioning that Rudy Sarzo has also played with Yngwie Malmsteen, Dio, Blue Oyster Cult, Jeff Tate, The Guess Who, and he has rejoined Quiet Riot a couple of times, and he is the main band member who keeps Quiet Riot going now. Kevin DuBrow was the band's lead singer. He was in the band since the 70s and has to be without doubt one of the best 80s rock singers and frontmen. He was fired by the band in 1987 for bad behaviour basically, but rejoined Quiet Riot when they reformed in the 90s. And he stayed in the band until his death from a cocaine overdose in 2007. Since Kevin DuBrow's death, Quiet Riot have had a number of lead singers, including current singer and former Rat singer Jizzy Pearl, not to mention people like Keith St. John and American Idol singer James Durbin, to name a few. The main driving force of the band for years was drummer Frankie Banali. He was the main member of the band until his death from pancreatic cancer in 2020. As well as drumming in Quiet Riot, Frankie Banali also done a lot of session drumming, toured with Faster Pussycat and Steppenwolf, and most notably played on a number of studio albums with the band Wasp. Before I talk about track by track, I'll quickly talk about the CDs themselves. The first greatest hits CD is probably the most well-known Quiet Riot greatest hits CD out there, and it came out in 1996. The first CD has the better covers, and a mostly chronological track listing, shall we say. The second CD, titled The Collection, came out in 2000, and it has more basic covers, and it isn't as well known as the first greatest hit CD. But it does have the more songs on it that are all in chronological order. So, with the track by track, I'm going to talk about the songs in chronological album order, starting from the Metal Health album and ending with the QR album. So, let's start off by talking about songs from the legendary Metal Health album, which came out in March 1983 and is known for being the first metal album to top the Billboard 200 chart later that year. So we're going to talk about the album's title track, which is also sometimes called Bang Your Head, Metal Health. This song just missed out on the top 30 in the US Billboard charts, and I think is featured in the film Footloose. The main thing to say about this rather AC/DC-esque song is that it's an insane and heavy track which features a great crowd chanting chorus, and with that AC/DC influence to it, it of course features great guitar riffs and leads. Another thing I could think of to say about this band's signature song is that the lyrics are celebrating the rebellious nature of heavy metal and the fans who bang their heads to the music. I'll also say that the first Greatest Hits CD features both a studio recording and a crazy live recording of this song. The second song I'm going to talk about is Quiet Riot's iconic cover of the Slade classic Come On Feel the Noise. Not only was this a top 5 US chart hit that helped propel the Metal Health album to the top of the album charts, but it's one of the first songs that comes to mind when it comes to covers being better than the original. Now, the ironic thing about this cover is that the band didn't want to do it, but it was the one condition producer Spencer Propper set so the band could record a few of their own songs. Apparently, the band didn't even rehearse beforehand when it came to recording the song. But anyway, it's a fast and motivating sounding song with great vocals and guitar leads. The third song I'm going to talk about is called Slick Back Cadillac. Now, the song you hear on both these greatest hits CD is from the Metal Health album. However, this song was originally written and recorded for the band's previous album, Quiet Riot 2. So just for the record, Metal Health is Quiet Riot's third album, but also the band's first international release, as the band's first two albums were only released in Japan. Anyway, like the previous two songs I spoke about, this is one of the band's best songs, despite the lack of guitar solo, and it's a fast-paced and motivating rocker that starts off with the chorus, which is the whole band singing the title. The next song I'm going to talk about is called Let's Get Crazy. Can't think of too much to say about this song really. With both these greatest hits albums, you get to hear a great live performance of this song that does sound pretty much the same as the studio recording. And I'm 90% sure it's the exact same live performance that you hear on both these CDs. The main thing you may notice with the song Let's Get Crazy is that it does sound similar to the song Metal Health, and this song actually closes the first Greatest Hits album. The next song I'm going to talk about is called Thunderbird. This only appears on the second Greatest Hits CD, and it's a ballad song that's dedicated to the band's old and late guitarist Randy Rhoads. Now, even though this song first appeared on the Metal Health album and is a tribute to Randy Rhoads, who got killed a year before that album came out, the song Thunderbird had been about a while before all that happened. I think this might have been one of the first songs the band wrote and recorded for the Metal Health album, and it started off when Kevin DuBrow contacted Rudy Sarzo to see if he wanted to work on and record some demos, and they ended up making a few songs, and that was the launching point for recording the Metal Health album. This song is a lot different compared to the other Quiet Riot songs you hear on both these CDs, and some people say it's more in vein with the songs by the band Journey, others compare it to the kind of song Elton John would do, and some even compare it to Queen. The next song I'm going to talk about is called Love's a Bitch. Not only is this another live track that's only on the second Greatest Hits CD, but it's also the last Metal Health album song I'm going to talk about. This live performance is a bit faster than the original studio recording, and this song is a power ballad that I think is about the inability to find love. The next lot of songs I'm going to talk about are from the Condition Critical album that came out in July 1984. The only Condition Critical song to feature on both these greatest hits CD is the band's second Slade cover, Mama We're All Crazy Now. Now, I think Kevin DuBrow wanted to record this Slade song over Come On Feel the Noise when they were recording the Metal Health album, but the producer stood firm that they had to do Come On Feel the Noise. As good as this cover of Mama We're All Crazy Now is, it was rather unnecessary to do another Slade cover, but they were rushed into the studio to record that album as they were on a high at the time due to the success of the Metal Health album. And I suppose one way of them trying to replicate that success was to do another Slade cover, I guess. The only other Condition Critical song to feature on the first Greatest Hits album is called Party All Night. Not a lot I can think of to say about this song really. It's a faster and motivational sounding song with a cowbell intro and great drum and guitar playing. And it's the other main song from the Condition Critical album. The next song I'm going to talk about is the rather appropriately titled Sign of the Times. This is the opening track on the Condition Critical album and has to be one of Quiet Riot's most underrated and underappreciated songs. The other thing I need to say about this great Quiet Riot track is that there is some solid musicianship in this song, and I really like the guitar tone and Kevin DuBrow being the great rock star he was. Not to mention there is some great guitar and bass playing from both Carlos Cavazo and Rudy Sarzo in this song, which includes a great transition coming out of a guitar solo into a bass solo. The next song I'm going to talk about is the rather funny titled Stomp Your Hands, Clap Your Feet. Now, I have to say, I don't hate this song, but at the same time, it's not the band's best song they've done. And a lot of people moan about the song title being a bit dumb, cheesy, or even ironic, etc. But the band more than likely got that title from the 1974 Slade album, Old, New, Borrowed and Blue, which, when it was released in the US, was titled Stomp Your Hands, Clap Your Feet. Right, so let's briefly talk about the title track of the Condition Critical album. Like the song Sign of the Times, it's one of the more highly rated songs from the Condition Critical album, and it's a slower paced Led Zeppelin-esque rocker. The last Condition Critical song I'm going to talk about is called We Were Born to Rock. Now, not only is it the last Condition Critical song on this Greatest Hits album, Born to Rock is also the closing track of that album. Not much more I can think of to say about this song, really. It's an anthemic enough song with some great backing harmonies, and the song might remind you of Queen's fast version of We Will Rock You. The next album, Quiet Riot, released after Condition Critical, was called QR3, which had Chuck Wright as the band's bass player, and it came out in July 1986. Not to mention it was the band's last album to feature Kevin DuBrow until the early 90s. The QR3 album doesn't get represented at all on the second album, and you only get to hear one song from it on this first Greatest Hits CD, and that song is called The Wild and the Young. So like I just said, this song is only featured on the first Greatest Hits album, and is actually placed before the two Condition Critical songs. This song is an underrated 80s rock classic, and is probably the best song on that QR3 album. The song is of course about young 80s rock and metal fans, and was written during that time when there were US Senate hearings about explicit lyrics in songs, etc. The song starts with a jungle beat type drum intro, which is then followed by a great opening guitar riff, and some people say that this song is similar to the Skid Row classic You've Gone Wild. The next album Quiet Riot released was simply titled QR, and that album came out in October 1988. Not only was there yet another bass player on this album, but this album was the only album Quiet Riot did with singer Paul Shortino. With Paul Shortino, you could argue that he was the better singer than Kevin DuBrow, but he didn't have as much charisma as Kevin. And I also want to put out there that Paul Shortino can still sing great now, and he has worked with members of Quiet Riot for years after. So one QR song that's only featured on the first Greatest Hits album is called The Joker. You can tell straight away that with the new singer, there is a more mature sound compared to the Kevin DuBrow stuff. And the main thing to say about the song The Joker is that it has a great chorus. The next QR song I'm going to talk about is featured on both Greatest Hits CDs, and it's called Stay With Me Tonight. This is completely different to most other Quiet Riot songs you'll hear, as it's a slow and more emotional type song. That's also one of my favourite Quiet Riot songs. This song does open the Cure album, and it starts with a rather John Lord-esque Hammond organ, and the band are so solid throughout the song. The best thing about this song is the vocal performance by Paul Shortino. He seems to channel his inner David Coverdale and sounds pretty seductive and lecherous, while singing about dripping wet clothes and satin sheets and dresses. You get to hear Paul Shortino really using his range here, and makes a solid case with this song in that he is a better singer than Kevin DuBrow. The other Paul Shortino era Quiet Riot song that's featured on both Greatest Hits CD is called Calling the Shots. This is a decent enough hard rock track that actually starts off with this Halo game type choir singing this one note before the riffs kick in. The song does have some great riffs and groove, and the song might also be in drop D tuning. The last three songs I'm going to talk about are Paul Shortino QR songs that are only featured on the second Greatest Hits CD. So the third to last song is called King of the Hill. And all I can say is that it's like a faster and more hair or glam version of the AC/DC song Have a Drink on Me. The second to last song is called Don't Wanna Be Your Fool. This has to be one of the best songs from the QR album. It's a great melodic rock ballad that a lot of people would say is more in the vein of Whitesnake than Quiet Riot. But anyway, like the song Stay With Me Tonight, it's a great song that shows off Paul Shortino's vocal range. The last song I'm going to talk about is called Copy the Fill. Can't really think of much to say about this song really, but as you can probably tell by the song title, you could say the song is a bit silly and does have some questionable lyrics by today's standards. So that's the track by track done, and I must say that there are a lot of great songs on both these CDs. Frankie Banali has to be one of the best drummers to come out the 80s. And like I said earlier, Kevin DuBrow has to be one of the best and most charismatic rock singers out ever. It's a shame that Quiet Riot didn't stay on top for long, despite being credited as the band that really helped hair metal get a lot more popular. The great thing about both these CDs are that they both prove that Quiet Riot done multiple good songs after the Metal Health album, like Sign of the Times, The Wild and the Young, Stay With Me Tonight, and Don't Wanna Be Your Fool. But of course they will be mainly known for the songs Bang Your Head, Metal Health, and Come On Feel the Noise. I do strongly recommend you own both these CDs. The first CD, while it has the shorter track listing, has all of Quiet Riot's biggest songs, while the second Greatest Hits CD, which is the one I prefer out of the two, has the more songs and more deeper cuts. So that's a wrap, folks. We've reached the end of our captivating CD review journey. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on my upcoming reviews, etc. Trust me, don't want to miss them. This is Classic Reviews. Check out 2 videos at the end, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.